Usually when we look at military history, especially Romulan military history, we're kind of looking at it from the outside in. We see the big fleet maneuvers, the decloaking warbirds, all that very stiff, formal political stuff. It all feels so organized.
Calculated. That's the brand, right?
Yeah.
Cold, calculated efficiency.
Exactly. But the source material we have today, this stack of historical mission logs, personal records they call past imperfect, it just completely shatters that image.
Oh, it does.
It feels claustrophobic. It feels messy. And honestly, it feels terrifying.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's less about the empire as this big monolith and more about the specific people who are, desperately trying to keep the ceiling from collapsing on their heads.
Right.
We're looking at a specific flashpoint, maybe 15 years ago now, the standoff at the planet Direx. And this is not a story about a glorious conquest where everyone gets some medal.
Yeah.
It's a dissection of what it actually costs to win a war when, for all intents and purposes, you've already lost it.
That is the context we really need to start with. The stakes here are just incredibly high. The Romulans are on the ropes.
Big time.
They've got the Klingon Empire literally parking ships in their backyard, blockading Direx, and the logs. They paint this picture of absolute chaos in the Senate. They aren't just losing territory, they're losing face.
Which, for a Romulan, is arguably worse than losing a planet.
Oh, for sure.
The previous commander, Shiarrael, and you need to keep that name in mind because he is crucial to this whole tragedy, he failed to push the blockade back.
So the Senate is scrambling.
They're frantic. They need a miracle worker. But in true Romulan fashion, they also need a scapegoat in case things go wrong again.
And that is where our central figure walks in, Shiarrael.
A brilliant, ruthless, a deeply complicated woman. These logs, they track her transition from just a name on a military roster to this terrifying, almost mythological figure.
Yes.
She isn't just a soldier in these documents. She's a political instrument.
But a very blunt one. There's this scene in the Senate, and I just love the absolute audacity of this moment, where she is offered the keys to the kingdom.
Right.
Proconsul Argelian effectively hands her the rank of Galer and Riaf, Supreme Commander. Most people, especially in that kind of society, they'd take that title and run.
But Shiarrael doesn't. She pretty much throws it right back in their faces.
Which is wild.
It is, but it's calculated. She understands the systemic rot of the Empire better than they do. She knows that Romulan military campaigns often fail because of
the great houses.
The great houses. You have senators micromanaging battles to protect their own kin or diverting resources to favor their own investments. She knows she can't fight the Klingons in front of her if she's also fighting the Senate behind her.
So she demands total autonomy. It's basically, I will save you, but you have to stop trying to command me.
It's a massive gamble. She demands a meritocracy. She tells them, that lineage doesn't matter anymore. Only competence does. If you can't do the job, you're gone, no matter who your father is.
She wants the power to fire or even kill incompetent officers, regardless of their political protection.
Which is incredibly ironic, given one of the little nuggets hidden in the background checks of these logs.
Yes. I was just getting to that. She's preaching, down with the great houses. But as I was reading her bio, I realized she's not exactly a nobody from the provinces.
No, she certainly is not. And this is where the hypocrisy, or maybe just the pragmatic complexity of her character really shines through. The logs reveal a secure private comms channel.
Connecting her to Praetor Vreenak.
The Vreenak.
The very same.
Yeah.
A titan of Romulan politics.
And it turns out he's her great uncle. She is blood kin to the Zorik clan, one of the most powerful, entrenched families on Romulus.
That adds such a cynical layer to her whole meritocracy speech.
Yeah.
She's standing there shouting about how talent is the only thing that matters, but she's using her family connections just to get in the room to make that speech.
That's the Romulan way, isn't it? Hypocrisy is just another tool. But to her credit, she keeps this buried deep. She needs the fleet to believe she's self-made. She needs them to fear her for her skill, not for her uncle.
She wants the respect of the soldiers, not the favor of politicians.
Exact.
And speaking of that personal side, before she heads off to the front lines, we get this really rare glimpse of her at her estate in Very.
Yeah.
It's like the only time in the entire stack of documents where she seems distinct from the uniform.
It's a very grounding moment. She's at home, she's preparing to leave, and she has to deal with her young son in Noil. He's woken up by a nightmare.
A nightmare about the Ferengi, of all things.
Right. It's a very specific cultural fear. To a Romulan child, the Ferengi aren't just traitors. They are these boogeymen who will steal you and sell you.
And her comfort is so dry,
Yeah.
so practical. She tells him, the Ferengi have no use for you. You have no spare change.
It's funny, but it's also telling. She deals with fear by rationalizing it. She just dismantles the nightmare with logic. But then she leaves the room, and the mother mask comes off.
And the commander mask goes back on, and it stays on.
All the way to the Derek sector. This is where the tactical analysis in the logs gets really interesting. She takes command, and the fleet is expecting action. They are angry. They want revenge.
They expect her to go in guns blazing to reclaim Romulan honor.
Instead, she goes to a junkyard.
Pretty much. Yeah. She refits a dilapidated station called Kaut Yusu. She parks the fleet there, cloaks the perimeter, and just does nothing.
The wait and bait.
Exactly. She knows her enemy. She is fighting Klingons, a force led by General Cameron. And she knows that Klingons function on momentum and aggression.
They need conflict like they need air. By refusing to engage, she isn't just being defensive, she's insulting them. She's denying them the very battle they crave.
It's Sun Tzu 101. If quick, I survive. If not quick, I am lost. She's forcing them to just sit in the vacuum and stew. But this is dangerous for her too, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Romulan commanders aren't exactly known for their patience either. Sitting still while the enemy is on your doorstep, that looks a lot like cowardice.
And that friction is what leads to the first real explosion of violence in the logs. And it's shocking because it's not against the Klingons. It's against her own side.
We're talking about Intrigue.
Yes. A Kryryov, a high-ranking fleet commander. He is the total antithesis of Shiarrael. He's arrogant, he's loud, and he's from the powerful Jirani clan.
He thinks this whole waiting game is pathetic. He wants to be the hero who breaks the blockade.
So when the Klingons finally send out a few ships to taunt the Romulan lines, just a little raiding party, he snaps.
He takes the bait. Shiarrael has given explicit orders. Hold formation. Do not engage.
And Trujai ignores her. He breaks formation to chase them down, thinking he's going to grab some easy glory and prove her wrong.
And it's a trap.
A classic Klingon ambush. As soon as he clears the defensive line, cloaked Klingon ships just decloak. Crossfire. The logs describe it so vividly, Trujai's entire wing is just shredded.
We're talking hundreds of Romulan lives lost in minutes, all because one guy wanted to be a hero.
Exactly. Shiarrael manages to save the rest of the fleet, pulls them back, but the damage is done. Now, usually in a situation like this, you'd see a court-martial.
Right. A lot of yelling, lawyers, maybe a demotion or reassignment to a garbage scow.
But Shiarrael knows that a court-martial implies a legal process. It implies there's a debate to be had. She needs to instill primal fear. So she summons Trujai to her flagship.
She doesn't yell. She doesn't debate him.
She has him dragged to the transporter room near the airlocks.
This scene is just horrifying. Her friend Shiarrael, the former commander, is there watching. The bridge crew is watching. It's all public.
She asks Trujai for an explanation. He starts babbling about glory and taking the initiative, and she just cycles the lock.
She blows him out into space.
And it's the silence that the logs focus on. 1 second he's shouting, the next the inner door opens, the air rushes out, and then there's just a vacuum. It sends a message that no Senate hearing ever could.
Disobedience is death.
And it works. The fleet locks down, the grumbling stops, the discipline becomes absolute.
And that discipline allows her strategy to finally pay off.
Right. The Klingons are starting for a fight, their supplies are getting stretched because Shiarrael has been quietly cutting off their lines while they waited, and they realize the Romulans aren't going to make another mistake.
General Cameron realizes he's losing the long game, so he proposes a shortcut.
A duel. It's archaic, but it's brilliant on his part. He knows Romulans are proud, he challenges them to a champions duel. Winner takes the system, loser retreats. It saves him from a drawn-out siege he might actually lose.
And he brings out a ringer?
Ho Kang. The logs describe him as a beast. He physically dwarfs Cameron, who is already a large Klingon. This isn't a general, this is a siege engine made of muscle and bone.
Now, logically, if you're Shiarrael, who do you send? You send your best close-quarters combatant, right? Maybe a centurion from the heavy infantry, or a remand bodyguard.
But that's not what happens.
No.
And this is the tragedy of the story. Shikarkup volunteers.
The guy who lost the system in the first place.
He is desperate for redemption. He has been watching Shiarrael succeed where he failed. He's been living under this cloud of his defeat. He sees this duel as the only way to clean his slate, to restore his honor, his manazahe, before his house.
He thinks if he kills the Klingon champion, everything he did wrong before is just erased.
But there's a heartbreaking intervention here. Raha, the commander of the flagship, she tries to stop him.
And she's also his lover.
She's the voice of reality in a room full of ego. She tells him point blank, "You are a pilot. You are not a duelist." She knows he's going to die. She begs him.
But he doesn't listen. He takes Shiarrael's family sword, the Saharian, and goes down to the planet.
The setting is so evocative, an old marble amphitheater on Dyrix. It's hot, there's dust and smoke in the air, thousands of Klingons jeering, and the fight. It goes exactly how Raha predicted.
Shiarrael tries to use his speed, right? He tries to dance around the giant.
He does. He uses his agility. He actually lands a few hits, chips the Klingon's armor. For a second, the logs make you think, maybe he can do this?
But he lacks the killing power.
And then he gets overconfident. He tries to close the gap to strike a vital area.
And the Klingon catches him.
It's brutal. Hokang disarms him effortlessly, and then, he effectively bushers him.
Right.
A bat'let through the neck and the ribcage. It's not a warrior's death. It's an execution.
The reaction in the logs is just stunned silence. Raha is devastated. The Romulans have lost the duel. By the rules of engagement, they have to leave Dyrix. The war is lost.
And Cameron, the Klingon general, he's celebrating. He thinks he's won the sector without risking his fleet. But he miscalculated Shiarrael.
She doesn't order the retreat.
No.
She walks into the arena herself.
This is the moment where logic just fails and emotion takes over. It is strategically insane for a Supreme Commander to risk her life in single combat. If she dies, the fleet is headless, and the Klingons will likely slaughter them all.
But she's watching her friend's blood pool on the marble, and she just snaps. She picks up the sword.
She steps in, and the dynamic shifts immediately. Shiarrael was a pilot flailing a sword. Shiarrael is a Telnari practitioner. She's a master. She moves differently.
But the environment is against her. The logs mention the floor specifically.
It's slick with Shiarrael's blood. She is literally fighting on the remains of her friend. She's faster than the Klingon. She's landing cuts, parrying blows that would have crushed Shiarrael. But she can't find the killing blow because he's just so massive and heavily armored.
And then she makes a mistake. Or maybe he just gets lucky.
He catches her, and he doesn't just cut her, he severs her left arm.
I actually gasped when I read that entry. The Gallian Riav loses an arm in the middle of a duel.
It's the shock factor. Hokang pauses. He laughs. He thinks it's over. He thinks he's won. And that split second of Klingon arrogance is the only opening Shiarrael needs.
She doesn't go into shock.
She lunges, one-handed. She drives the sword up through his neck and into his skull.
It's gruesome, but it's effective. She kills a monster, and then she collapses right on top of him, bleeding out.
Her last word before passing out is flut. Which is, well, let's just say it's a very colorful Romulan expletive. She's not triumphant. She's annoyed that she's dying.
But she doesn't die. And the Klingons, surprisingly, they honor the deal. They retreat.
They respect the kill. In their eyes, she earned the system, so they pack up and leave.
So mission accomplished. The Romulans win. Dyrix is saved. But the deep dive part of this story isn't the fight. It's the cost. This is where Past Imperfect really earns its name.
Yes.
We jump forward 9 days. Shiarrael is in a hospital bed.
Her arm has been reattached. Romulan medical science is incredible. The surgeon Iman used a device to regenerate the nerves and bone, so she's physically whole. But she wakes up and immediately asks for Raha. She wants to see her friend. She wants to mourn Shiarrael together.
And this is the coldest scene in the entire archive.
Yeah.
She finds Raha in the viewing room with Shiarrael's body. And Raha is not happy to see her.
Raha is furious. You might expect shared grief. But Raha doesn't blame the Klingon who swung the blade. She blames the system and Shiarrael that made Shiarrael feel like he had to swing the blade.
She tells Shiarrael that Shiarrael died trying to live up to her, trying to escape her shadow.
And then she drops the bombshell that changes the entire context of his death.
She reveals she's pregnant.
7 weeks.
Man, that hits hard.
It means Shiarrael didn't just throw away his life. He threw away a family. He prioritized his reputation, his masahe, over his unborn child. And Raha looks at Shiarrael, the woman who just saved the Empire, the woman who avenged her lover, and she tells her to get out.
It would be a shame if you eclipse him even in his final moments. That line is just devastating. She's basically uninvited from the funeral.
It's the final severance. Shiarrael has her title, she has her victory, she has her meritocracy, she proves she doesn't need the great houses, but she is completely alone. She walks out of that room and the logs just end.
It forces you to look at the title of these logs again. Past Imperfect. We usually think of Romulan history as this monolithic thing, victory, glory, empire. But this story peels all that back.
It shows us that the Empire is a machine that runs on people. It chews them up. Shiarrael died for pride, Shiarrael died for ambition, Shiarrael gave an arm and her closest relationships just to hold the line.
It's a classic Pyrrhic victory. She won the battle, but she lost the war for her own humanity, or Romulanity, I guess.
She became the Ice Queen the Senate needed, but she had to freeze out everything else to do it.
It really makes you wonder about the leadership structures we admire. We love the idea of the ruthless, competent leader who gets things done at any cost. Shiarrael is the poster child for that. She saved the planet, she did her job.
But the past Imperfect logs ask us to look at the bill. The Butcher's bill isn't just bodies on a battlefield, it's the empty rooms in the victor's house. Shiarrael is a hero on paper. In the history books, she is the Galamrioth who saved Derex. But in these personal logs, she is a woman standing in a dark corridor, minus an arm and a best friend, realizing that power is a very lonely place.
That's a heavy thought to leave on. Shiarrael who proved that ability matters more than bloodlines, but she also proved that power is incredibly isolating.
It's a lesson from the Derex border that I think resonates way beyond the Star Empire.
Absolutely. So here's a final provocation for you to chew on as you go about your day. We constantly hear that it's lonely at the top. We usually interpret that as a complaint about responsibility. But looking at Shiarrael, is it possible that the loneliness isn't a side effect of leadership, but the price of it? Can you actually be the leader your people need without eventually destroying the people you love?
I don't know if I want to know the answer to that.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.